After the age of 50, many of us begin to notice subtle shifts, not only in our bodies, but in our hearts and minds as well. In this season of life, we start yearning for simplicity, for deeper peace, and for a sense of gentle freedom that carries us gracefully through our remaining years. Yet, without realizing it, we often hold on to habits and silent burdens that slowly erode our joy and vitality. From restless nights to unexpressed emotions, these quiet intruders sap our inner peace, shorten our days, and distance us from the true happiness we deserve. In the Buddha's teachings, we learn that suffering often arises not from grand external disasters but from the small, unnoticed seeds we plant and nurture within our own minds. As we journey together through this video, we will gently examine 5 such silent killers that rob us of peace, health, and longevity after 50, and explore the profound ways the Buddha's wisdom can guide us in letting them go. This is not about strict rules or heavy restrictions, but rather about cultivating mindfulness, non-attachment, and loving kindness toward ourselves and others. When we see clearly, we begin to understand the causes of our suffering and how to dissolve them with compassion and insight. By the end of this video, you will discover how to awaken a new sense of lightness and joy, embrace aging with grace, and walk the path of inner peace and spiritual growth with renewed strength. Let us begin this gentle journey together, like a lotus blooming silently in a still pond, undisturbed by the ripples around it. Let us now turn to the first silent killer of peace, health, and longevity after 50, sleep deprivation, which, in the eyes of Buddhist wisdom, is far more than just a medical or physical inconvenience. It is a deep spiritual issue that touches the very core of our well-being. Imagine for a moment a gentle pond at dawn, its surface still and clear, perfectly reflecting the soft colors of the sky. This is what a well-rested mind resembles, open and receptive, capable of deep insight and compassion. In contrast, a sleep-deprived mind is like a stormy pond, muddied and restless, unable to mirror the beauty of the moon or the stillness of the stars above. In the world, where the culture often celebrates relentless productivity and hustle, even into older age, sleep deprivation has become almost a silent badge of honor, but at what cost? Consider the story of Linda, a 62-year-old retired nurse from Oregon, who spent most of her life caring for others, working long night shifts, and pushing her limits to provide for her family. After retirement, Linda hoped to finally rest and enjoy peaceful mornings with her garden and her books, but she found herself unable to sleep through the night. Haunted by decades of habitual worry, replaying memories of patients she could not save and responsibilities she could not abandon, she lay awake night after night, her body exhausted but her mind racing like a wild horse in the dark. Linda's doctor prescribed medications, but they only numbed the surface of her struggle. It was when she joined a local Buddhist meditation group that she began to see her insomnia in a new light, not as a battle to be fought, but as a symptom of deep inner clinging and unexamined fears. Through gentle guidance, she started to sit quietly before bed, placing her hands over her heart, breathing deeply, and whispering words of loving kindness to herself. May I be safe, may I be peaceful, may I let go. Slowly, she discovered that her sleeplessness was not simply about the inability to fall asleep, but about an ingrained inability to surrender, to trust the present moment enough to let go of the day. The Buddha spoke often of the importance of mindfulness and rest, emphasizing that a fatigued mind cannot perceive the true nature of reality and is more easily clouded by ignorance, craving, and aversion. When we deprive ourselves of sleep, we weaken our inner capacity for clear seeing, vipassana, for compassion, and for balanced energy. Without adequate rest, our meditation practice becomes shallow, our patience wears thin, and we become reactive rather than responsive to the inevitable ups and downs of life. From a Buddhist perspective, sleep is a sacred act of non-attachment. We release the day's worries, our identity as achievers or caretakers, and even our protective armor of busyness. In the Vinaya, monks and nuns are advised to rest mindfully so they can maintain their practice and embody loving kindness in every moment. For lay people, this teaching invites us to see bedtime not as an inconvenience or wasted hours, but as a natural opportunity for deep spiritual renewal and self-compassion. Linda's story illustrates that sleep deprivation often reveals deeper knots in our hearts, our reluctance to forgive ourselves, our fear of impermanence, our unexamined regrets. As we age, these knots can tighten if left unseen, quietly draining our vitality and inner peace. By creating gentle evening rituals, such as lighting a candle, reciting a verse of gratitude, or practicing a few mindful breaths, we prepare the mind and body to rest, to float into sleep like a leaf settling on a quiet pond. Instead of fighting sleeplessness with frustration and pills, we can learn to approach it with curiosity and kindness, asking, "What am I holding on to? What can I release tonight?" In this way, each night becomes a spiritual practice, an act of surrender that echoes the deeper Buddhist path of letting go and trusting the unfolding of each moment. Sleep, then, is not merely physical rest but a profound expression of non-attachment and faith in life's natural rhythms. When we nurture our sleep, we are not just protecting our physical health, we are cultivating a foundation for mindfulness, inner peace, and spiritual growth, supporting us to age with grace and live with true vitality. Linda's transformation from sleepless nights filled with haunting memories to peaceful slumber held by compassion stands as a living testament to the power of this shift. By recognizing sleep deprivation as a deeper spiritual issue, we open ourselves to a new realm of healing, one that transcends pills and schedules and invites us into the tender art of letting go, resting in the simplicity and sacredness of the present moment, and awakening to the possibility of true inner freedom. Now, let us gently explore the second silent killer that slowly erodes our peace and vitality after 50. Chronic low-grade stress, a quiet yet relentless companion that hides in the corners of our minds and bodies, often going unnoticed until it has carved deep grooves into our hearts and health. Unlike sudden crises that call for immediate attention, this kind of stress is like a steady, invisible drizzle that soaks us over time, leaving us heavy and weary without even realizing it. In Buddhist wisdom, such ongoing mental tension is a form of dukkha, the fundamental dissatisfaction that arises when we cling to things as they are not, or resist the impermanence that defines all life. Consider the story of Richard, a 68-year-old retired school principal from North Carolina, who had spent most of his career guiding and nurturing young minds. After retirement, Richard envisioned a peaceful life tending his small vegetable garden, traveling with his wife, and spending time with his grandchildren. However, without the structure of daily work, he found his mind constantly busy with worries. Whether his savings would last, if his health would decline, if his children were truly happy. These worries didn't come as loud thunderstorms but rather as a constant gray mist, present from dawn until his restless nights. Richard began to experience headaches, digestive issues, and a general sense of fatigue that no amount of rest seemed to heal. He withdrew from his community gatherings, avoided travel, and found himself arguing with his wife over small matters, further deepening his sense of isolation. One day, after a particularly tense evening, his daughter suggested he try a local meditation center. At first skeptical, Richard finally agreed, thinking he had little to lose. There, he was introduced to mindfulness practices, simple yet profound ways to observe each thought and emotion without judgment. With each breath, Richard learned to meet his worries with kindness rather than resistance. Gradually, he began to see how these constant worries were not facts but mental habits, echoes of years spent trying to control outcomes and protect others. The Buddha teaches that clinging to control and perfection are major sources of suffering, as they keep us from accepting the impermanence and unpredictability inherent in life. Richard started a gentle morning ritual, sitting quietly on his porch as the sun rose, feeling the warmth on his face, and listening to the birds. In those moments, he practiced releasing each worry like leaves floating down a stream. Over time, he noticed his headaches diminishing, his digestion improving, and his mood lifting. His relationships softened, and laughter began to return to his home. This transformation illustrates that chronic low-grade stress is not simply an external enemy but a reflection of our internal grasping and aversion. When we live in constant subtle tension, our nervous system remains on alert, quietly draining our energy reserves and clouding our ability to experience joy. The Buddha described this as being struck by two arrows. The first arrow is the unavoidable pain of life, while the second arrow is the suffering we create through our mental resistance. In practical terms, chronic stress hardens our hearts, making us impatient, suspicious, and quick to anger, even with those we love most. It saps our creative energy, dampens our enthusiasm for life, and can even accelerate physical aging. From a Buddhist perspective, the antidote is mindfulness, the gentle art of returning to the present moment with openness and compassion. By simply noticing when stress arises, by breathing into tightness in the body, and by observing our mental stories without feeding them, we begin to loosen their grip. This is not about denying difficulties but meeting them with a spacious mind and a soft heart. Richard's story reminds us that aging offers a precious opportunity to release lifelong patterns of tension and rediscover a natural ease and joy. We do not have to fix every problem or predict every outcome. Instead, we can learn to rest in the mystery of life, trusting that each moment carries its own wisdom. Incorporating simple daily practices like gentle stretching, walking meditation, or sipping tea mindfully can create islands of calm in the ocean of daily life. As we soften our relationship to stress, we strengthen our inner peace, support our health, and invite more love and laughter into our days. Letting go of chronic low-grade stress is an act of deep compassion toward ourselves and those around us, allowing us to age with grace, deepen our spiritual growth, and truly embody the peace of mind that Buddhist wisdom offers. Now, let us gently turn to the third silent killer of peace, health, and longevity after 50, processed foods, and explore not only what they do to the body, but also the deep and often unnoticed harm they cause to the mind and spirit. In today's fast-paced world, where convenience reigns and the bright allure of quick meals calls from every corner, many find comfort in packaged, processed foods without realizing their deeper spiritual consequences. From a Buddhist perspective, every act of consumption is an act of planting seeds in the mind and heart, and these seeds either nurture clarity and mindfulness or strengthen craving and ignorance. Processed foods are often designed to create addictive responses, filled with refined sugars, excessive salt, artificial flavors, and preservatives that overstimulate the senses. Each bite not only triggers pleasure in the body but also fuels mental restlessness and emotional turbulence. The Buddha taught that craving, tanha, is the root of suffering, and each indulgence in artificially engineered tastes deepens the habit of seeking fleeting satisfaction rather than true contentment. As the mind becomes conditioned to stronger and more intense flavors, it loses sensitivity to the simple joys and subtle tastes of natural foods, much like a heart that has been numbed by constant excitement loses its capacity for quiet love. Over time, this diminishes our ability to enjoy stillness, to sit peacefully, and to find joy in simple, ordinary moments, qualities that are essential for inner peace and spiritual growth. Processed foods also create a heavy, stagnant energy in the body, making it harder to meditate deeply or move through life with lightness and vitality. Our digestion weakens naturally with age, and when we burden it with chemical-laden foods, we create an internal fog that clouds not only the physical body but also our emotional and spiritual perception. This subtle heaviness can manifest as mental dullness, lack of motivation, and even increased irritability, pulling us further from mindfulness and deeper into cycles of distraction and discontent. In contrast, whole, natural foods, such as fresh vegetables, fruits, whole grains, and simple, lovingly prepared meals, support a mind that is clear, alert, and capable of perceiving the interconnectedness of all life. Preparing and consuming these foods mindfully can become a profound spiritual practice, transforming each meal into a moment of gratitude and presence. The Buddha encouraged reflection before every meal: is this food nourishing my body and mind, or merely feeding desire? This simple inquiry invites us to cultivate non-attachment and discernment in daily life, helping us break free from automatic habits and reconnect with the joy of conscious living. When we choose whole foods, we invite a softness and brightness into the body, creating fertile ground for loving kindness, patience, and peace of mind. Over time, these choices help purify not just our physical system but also the deeper channels of the mind, allowing us to experience life with greater simplicity and authenticity. This is not about harsh discipline or denying pleasure but about returning to the natural harmony of life, where food becomes medicine for the body and a gentle support for the spirit. By releasing processed foods, we honor the sacredness of our bodies as vessels for spiritual practice and demonstrate compassion toward ourselves. We give ourselves the gift of lightness, clarity, and deeper joy, supporting our journey of aging with grace and awakening to the present moment. In this way, each conscious bite becomes a step on the path to non-attachment, inner peace, and spiritual freedom, affirming our commitment to truly live rather than simply exist. As we arrive at the fourth silent killer of peace, health, and longevity after 50, let us look deeply into the life-draining effects of isolation and the essential practice of rebuilding true connection. While solitude, when chosen mindfully, can be a nourishing space for contemplation and inner growth, isolation that is unchosen or prolonged can quietly sap our life force, leaving us feeling empty and unseen. From a Buddhist perspective, we are not separate islands but part of an intricate web of life, interdependent and connected through countless visible and invisible threads. The Buddha often emphasized the importance of spiritual friendship, or kalyamattata, describing it as the entire essence of a wholesome, supportive life. When we are isolated, we lose these vital connections that sustain our emotional and spiritual well-being, and our hearts begin to close like a flower deprived of sunlight. Loneliness creates a kind of subtle inner tightness, a feeling of being cut off not only from others but also from our own inner joy and natural vitality. Over time, this can lead to feelings of unworthiness, depression, and a weakening of our immune system and mental resilience. The subtle poison of isolation does not always arrive as loud sadness, often it appears as a quiet numbness, a sense that each day blends into the next without meaning or warmth. As we age, the loss of loved ones, retirement, and physical limitations can deepen this sense of separation, making it crucial to address before it takes root and hardens the heart. Rebuilding connection is not merely about filling the calendar with social events but about cultivating relationships that reflect mutual care, presence, and authenticity. Simple acts, such as sharing tea with a neighbor, attending a community meditation group, or reaching out to an old friend, can begin to mend the threads of connection and restore the heart's natural openness. In Buddhism, genuine connection is nourished by mindful listening, compassionate speech, and the willingness to truly see and be seen without judgment or agenda. By practicing these qualities, we create spaces where both we and others feel safe to express, share, and grow. Connection also extends to our relationship with ourselves. Through meditation, quiet walks in nature, and self-reflection, we learn to become our own best friend, gently tending to the wounds of the heart with patience and understanding. By balancing solitude and community, we nurture both the deep inner stillness and the warmth of shared humanity, supporting our journey toward inner peace and spiritual growth. Letting go of isolation is an act of courage and compassion, inviting us to open once more to the joys and sorrows of shared life. The Buddha taught that all beings seek happiness and avoid suffering, and when we connect with others from this understanding, we move beyond superficial interactions and into the realm of true spiritual friendship. Over time, these connections strengthen our resilience, deepen our joy, and provide a mirror through which we can see ourselves more clearly and grow in wisdom. As we age, fostering these heartfelt connections helps us live not merely longer but fuller, more meaningful lives filled with gentle warmth and purpose. In this way, we transform the silent killer of isolation into a path of healing, allowing us to age with grace, embody non-attachment, and walk hand in hand with the living teachings of mindfulness and compassion each day. Finally, we arrive at the fifth silent killer of peace, health, and longevity after 50, the heavy burden of unspoken feelings and the transformative Buddhist path to release them. In the quiet hours of the night or the stillness of early morning, many find themselves haunted by words left unsaid, regrets carefully hidden, and emotions locked tightly within the heart. While these feelings may seem harmless or easier to ignore in the moment, they gather beneath the surface like stones in a riverbed, silently weighing us down and disrupting the natural flow of life's energy. The Buddha taught that clinging to past hurts, resentments, and unexpressed emotions creates suffering, as these mental formations, sakras, keep the mind tangled in cycles of regret and self-blame. Holding on to such feelings can manifest as physical illness, emotional exhaustion, and spiritual stagnation, preventing us from fully embracing the joy and lightness of the present moment. To illustrate this, let us reflect on the story of Venerable Mahakassapa, one of the Buddha's closest disciples, who was known for his deep meditative wisdom and simple life. After the Buddha's passing, Mahakassapa felt a profound sense of grief and responsibility, believing he alone had to carry forward the true essence of the teachings. Despite his immense wisdom, he did not initially express this sorrow openly, instead retreating deeper into silence and solitude. Over time, however, he noticed that his meditation became heavy, his heart burdened, and his connection to other monks began to weaken. Recognizing this, Mahakassapa finally gathered the Sangha and spoke honestly of his grief, his fears of failing the lineage, and his deep longing to honor the Buddha's compassion. As he shared these hidden feelings, a wave of relief and warmth spread through the assembly, strengthening their collective bond and reaffirming their shared purpose. This brave act of vulnerability not only freed Mahakassapa's own heart but also inspired others to share their silent burdens, creating a space of deep mutual support and spiritual healing. This story beautifully illustrates that unspoken feelings act as hidden chains on the mind and spirit, quietly sapping vitality and joy. From a Buddhist perspective, true liberation, nibbana, arises when we release attachment to all clinging, including our attachment to silence when it is born of fear rather than wisdom. Many people, especially as they age, hold back feelings out of fear of judgment, of hurting others, or of appearing weak. Yet in holding back, they create a silent inner prison where resentment, sadness, and longing ferment, slowly corroding peace of mind and blocking spiritual growth. Expressing feelings does not mean indulging in anger or carelessly spilling emotions without mindfulness. Rather, it involves a conscious, compassionate process of acknowledging what is present in the heart and choosing skillful means to communicate or release it. This might take the form of heartfelt conversations with loved ones, writing letters, even if never sent, or offering one's feelings into the vast sky during meditation, allowing them to dissolve like clouds drifting away. The Buddha taught that right speech, samavaka, is part of the Noble Eightfold Path, emphasizing words that are truthful, gentle, and beneficial. By embracing right speech and open-hearted expression, we transform hidden feelings into bridges of connection and understanding, rather than walls of isolation and sorrow. Furthermore, the practice of loving-kindness meditation, metta bhavana, offers a powerful method for releasing old emotional burdens, gently guiding the mind to forgive, to wish oneself and others well, and to soften the rigid places within. As we age, releasing these unspoken feelings becomes a vital step toward aging with grace and embodying true spiritual freedom. When we dare to open our hearts, we make space for authentic connection, deeper compassion, and renewed vitality. The example of Mahakassapa reminds us that even the most advanced practitioners are not immune to the weight of unexpressed emotions and that sharing our truth can be a profound act of strength and love. By letting go of these inner stones, we return to the natural state of the mind, spacious, clear, and luminous like a moon reflected on still water. In this way, each act of courageous expression becomes a step toward inner peace, non-attachment, and the joyful simplicity that lies at the heart of Buddhist wisdom. As we come to the end of our journey today, let us pause and gently breathe together, knowing that we have explored the 5 silent killers of peace, health, and longevity after 50, sleep deprivation, chronic low-grade stress, processed foods, isolation, and unspoken feelings. In each of these hidden patterns, we see not just physical or mental challenges but subtle spiritual invitations to return to the heart, to the present moment, and to the truth of our own impermanence and inner potential for awakening. As we age, each day becomes a precious teacher, reminding us that life is not merely about extending years but about deepening presence, embodying kindness, and cultivating a mind that is spacious and free. The Buddha often reminded us that freedom is not found in distant places or grand gestures but in simple daily acts of awareness, compassion, and letting go. In this spirit, I invite you to join me now in a brief but deeply nourishing meditation practice designed to help integrate the lessons of this video into your heart and daily life. Find a comfortable seated position, whether on a chair with your feet resting gently on the floor or on a cushion with your legs crossed. Let your spine grow tall yet relaxed, like a strong tree rooted firmly in the earth but swaying gently with the breeze. Allow your hands to rest softly in your lap or on your knees. Close your eyes lightly or lower your gaze, and begin by taking 3 deep, cleansing breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. With each exhale, imagine releasing any tension or heavy energy you may be carrying. Now bring your attention to the natural rhythm of your breath, not forcing it to be slower or deeper but simply observing its gentle rise and fall, like waves on a peaceful shore. As you settle into this quiet awareness, silently repeat to yourself. Breathing in, I calm my body. Breathing out, I smile. Notice any places in the body that feel tight or heavy, perhaps the shoulders, the chest, or the forehead, and allow these areas to soften with each breath. If thoughts arise, as they naturally will, simply acknowledge them like passing clouds in the sky and gently guide your focus back to the breath. Next, bring to mind the 5 silent killers we discussed, and imagine them as stones you have been carrying in a bag on your back. With each exhale, visualize placing 1 stone down on the earth, feeling your body grow lighter and your mind more open. After placing all 5 stones down, imagine a warm, golden light filling the space around your heart, spreading throughout your body and beyond, connecting you to all beings everywhere. Repeat silently, may I be peaceful. May I be healthy. May I be free from inner burdens. Let this feeling of warmth and spaciousness expand beyond your body, reaching your family, friends, and even those you may struggle with, wishing them the same peace and freedom. Rest in this loving awareness for a few more breaths, savoring the simplicity and beauty of this moment. When you feel ready, gently open your eyes or lift your gaze, carrying this calm and gentle energy with you into the rest of your day. Remember, meditation is not about achieving a perfect state but about returning again and again to kindness and presence, no matter how many times the mind wanders. By practicing this regularly, even for just a few minutes each day, you strengthen the roots of peace, deepen your capacity for non-attachment, and nurture a joyful spirit that can gracefully navigate the waves of aging and change. Finally, dear friends, if today's reflections have touched your heart, I warmly invite you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Have you noticed any of these silent killers affecting your own life? Which one resonates most deeply with you, and how do you envision releasing it with compassion? Perhaps you have a personal story of letting go, rebuilding connection, or finding peace in simple acts of mindfulness. I would be truly honored to read your words and walk this path of learning and healing together. Your stories not only inspire others who may feel alone but also help create a circle of spiritual friendship, echoing the Buddha's vision of supportive community. Please don't hesitate to share your feelings, your hopes, or even your questions, as each voice enriches this space and supports our collective journey toward greater peace of mind, inner freedom, and aging with grace. If this video has offered you insight or comfort, please like, subscribe, and share it with loved ones who might benefit. Let us continue to grow this gentle community rooted in Buddhist wisdom, mindfulness, non-attachment, and true compassion.